Afternoon.
All the. Okay, the cameras, I'm on now. I can't. Can't get the camera to turn on.
What? Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Are we starting now or at 3:30?
3:30 is good.
Okay.
Waiting for people to come in.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Jody and I were on the same wavelength. I'll get us started today. just in the way of announcements, because I see a couple directors here, and you're always welcome. So never doubt that. But there was a request by directors to be copied just to be able to close a communication loop. So if you do have something else that you have to do right now and you have a conflict, but you're always welcome, you can always add to the discussion. And you're going to get some of the same information in some of these meetings if you go to other meetings. But just giving you a heads up on that. But welcome to the school district and principal call Wednesday, October 1st. Welcome you all. We can go to the next slide. So this, all of our technical assistance or our outward technical assistance is from the technical assistance team. And we do have, in addition to our team, Mr. Javaris Yarns, functioning as a lead program manager on our team. I am Mr. Alexis Ferguson, the assistant director. I'm covering the North right now, and Javaris Yarns and I are covering covering it together. But I am going to be more in that assistant director role. He's going to be more in the PM role. Then you have Ms. Jody Baez covering the direct TA sites. So the years 5 through 6 is actually incorrect. The direct TA sites, which is all of our nonprofits, United Way, YFA. Ms. Tawana Rollins is our program manager over the South. And then Ms. Justine Jordan, our program manager over Central Florida. So that's our team. And we can go on to the next slide. So our agenda for today at 3:30 p.m. Obviously, we started with a brief greeting, and we are recording, correct? I think I heard it when I first jumped on. And just so you know, it's recording, so we have just accurate note taking for our circle backs, and then just for us, if any questions or any requests come up, we can go back and document those things. 3:35. It looks like I'm gonna be right on time. We're gonna do some introductions. We did introductions of our team. We're gonna go over some meeting procedures, center updates, some very brief updates for you all, and then we'll have some discussion questions or a discussion question. Roughly 3:45, we'll have a presentation focused on intentional communication, building transformational school community partnership school partnerships. And then at about 4:10, we'll have a closing and evaluation survey. The surveys are very important to us. As y'all practice process or continuous improvement, we do the same thing here at the center. So it is very important for us to get that feedback. We aim for about 35, 40% feedback in return on those surveys. But if we get 100%, even better. All right, we can go on to the next slide. So these are our 4 Bs. We've had these for a couple of years. Number 1, be engaged, actively participate, avoid multitasking. My team will tell you if I get multitask, I will lose track of what I'm doing. So I try to avoid it at all costs. Be present. So treat this virtual environment as best you can, like it's in person. Right? If we have a phone call, we go off camera and we do the things, but to the best of our ability, we're going to try to be present for this amount of time. We're going to be open. We're going to maintain an open mindset. We're going to be receptive, and then we're going to ask, what can I get out of today's meeting? But also, we're going to go after what we need. There might be someone that shares some insight that you want to learn more about. You might message them privately on the chat. Hey, I want to connect with you afterwards. Let's set up a 1-hour call so I can learn more about what you're talking about. And then lastly, we're going to be reflective. So take time to reflect on the information and how it relates to your projects, ask clarifying questions, and then lastly, reach out to your TA. It is important that you touch base. That part of being open and going after what you need, part of being reflective is really reaching out to the people that might have the information. And if we don't have it, we'll find the right person that has it. Next slide. So a couple center updates. Excuse me. You have the TA calendar. Thank you, Brenna. You have the TA calendar there. Sorry. And you can scan the QR code and get access to it. You can pin it or bookmark it on your phone. We also want you to bookmark it on your browser, so you have ease of access to this calendar. We have made some updates to the calendar, and we will have. It's going to be a couple of optional onboarding sessions. The first one's listed here, the CPS 101. It is on Monday, and I think one of the ways that we want to do it's geared for directors, but we do want to open it up for principals if you're interested, right? So it's optional. And we're doing this because we understand that everybody doesn't start at the same time in the year. We just did a high level onboarding of all of our systems, but we know if someone just got hired, they may have missed that, right? So we're going to do these things quarterly so that you have an opportunity to plug in with us, and really eventually do a flip classroom. So some of these things will be on the training academy, which did launch today. So check your inboxes. Some of these things will be on the training academy, and you'll be able to come and ask your questions. So the instruction will be online, and then the questions, the Q&A, or the homework will be in class. So we have a couple of new staff to the center. As I mentioned, Mr. Javaris Yarns earlier, our lead program manager for technical assistance. We have Mr. Alexander Gagnon with communications. He's our communications specialist. He's in the business house. We have Dr. Ansley Davis. She's our postdoc with our assessment and evaluation house. And then we have one more staff. It is Miss Alexandra or Alex Albuzu Jacob with the certification house. She's a certification program manager. We have quarter one reports that are due on October 12th. Close of business at October 12th, 2025. The training academy relaunched today. So it came out today. You'll please check your inbox. It'll look like continuing ed, UCF continuing ed. And we have some steps. You'll have a MailChimp form kind of walking you through the steps of how to get on. We have a director learning exchange in November. These are regional director learning exchanges, so we'll be in your areas, and more details on that to come. And then we have our larger event this year, the Principal Director Institute on March. I don't have the exact date here, but March in 2026. All right, I think that's. Then I'll pass to Dr. Rollins.
Okay, thank you for that, Alexius. So I wanted to start with introductions. If we have any new people on the call today, if you would share who you are, where you're located, and what school you're located at. I don't know if someone is.
Hi, my name is my name is Janina Simmons. I'm from the School District of Palm Beach County. And I work as a liaison between Lake Worth High School and John F. Kennedy Middle School. I am the district liaison.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Tammy Berryhill. I'm the principal at Gulfside Community Partnership School in Pasco County. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. It'll help if you're new, if you raise your hand, it'll help me to see you better on my screen.
I'll go. I'm Pamela Bernie Jackson. I'm with Duval County Public Schools, and I'm actually just filling in for Ms. Laura Bowles, who's the executive director, the district liaison.
Okay, nice to meet you. All right, is there anyone else?
Hi there, I'm Kelly Snellgrove. I'm the principal at Mort Elementary in Tampa, Florida.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Mark Claremont with Pasco County Schools. I'm the Health and Wellness Collaboratives Coordinator over our community schools.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Omar Edwards, Associate Director, Strategic Planning Initiatives with the School District of Manatee County. We have Daltrey Elementary School and Manatee Elementary School.
Okay, nice to meet you. Okay, assuming that's everyone, I'll continue moving on to the next slide. All right, so as we are launching the beginning of the school year, it's important to recognize some of the things. I know you all did strategic planning probably sometime last month or maybe in July, but if we could, we have a large amount of people today, so if we're gonna come off mute, I probably will take maybe 1 to 2 people to share one thing that you're looking forward to this school year, and then you can also write things in the chat and I'll try to read off what I could see. Okay, well. So Heather is looking forward to creating a collaborative environment with your team with United Way. Okay. Working more collaboratively with partners and providers to give students more access to opportunities. Thanks, Tamara over at OCPS ACE. And Mark Claremont, continuing to improve the services we provide at our community schools and getting Gulf Side certified by the end of the year. Okay. So I'll let you all continue in the chat and you can see one another's goals and things that you plan on doing. See Simon or Simmons, increasing more access to wraparound services for students and families. It's a great goal. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on. You all can continue to have the discourse in the chat. This presentation is it's a bit lengthy, but I'll go at a steady pace that it won't be too long. It won't be too bad. All right, so today we'll be going over intentional communication, building transformational school CPS partnerships, a framework for principals and partners to strengthen alignment through intentional communication. We'll discuss how purposeful communication practices combined with unbiased information access, creating more aligned, effective, and transformational school partnerships with CPS schools. So during this session, we will examine how communication practices influence effectiveness of school CPS partnerships. We'll look at barriers that limit collaboration, explore the difference between transactional and transformational engagement, and identify specific strategies that can help principals and CPS teams communicate more intentionally and share information more effectively. So why does this matter? Communication and information sharing are the foundation, are the foundational steps to student success. When either breaks down, we see tangible impacts. Students and families lose access to consistent support. CPS teams operate without the full picture, and schools miss opportunities to align their goals with CPS initiatives. Strengthening communication ensures that both the school and the CPS team are working together toward shared outcomes. So the information gap, a case example. In some districts, policies may limit email accounts to just district employees. And as a result, CPS directors may not receive essential updates that directly affect their ability to support students and families. These communication gaps can create inefficiencies and disconnects that can easily be resolved through intentional information sharing from school leadership. So some examples of things that are important updates could include policy updates regarding like threat assessment procedures, mental health trainings, or testing schedule or policy changes. This distinction captures the heart of the effective partnership, transactional versus transformational partnerships. A transactional interaction centers on isolated tasks or immediate needs. A transformational interaction, by contrast, focuses on shared goals and strategic alignment. Transformational partnership fosters sustainability, trust, and long-term results. And so here I have the visual continuum from transactional to transformational. Partnership exists on a continuum. Some remain transactional, which is defined by individual tasks. Others evolve into collaboration, where communication improves, but alignment is still developing. The goal, however, is transformation, where communication and information flow freely and CPS work becomes fully embedded in the school's mission and culture. And so with that, we have absorption, co-location, and integration. The relationship between schools and CPS teams typically flow from one of these three patterns: absorption, co-location, or integration. In absorption, CPS staff are used primarily for additional manpower rather than mission-driven work. Co-location represents proximity without partnership. CPS is present but not integrated. And then full integration is the ideal stage, where this reflects shared planning, communication, and decision-making aligned with the school's priorities. So some common barriers that exist. Several barriers often limit communication between principals and CPS partners. These include restricted email access, exclusion from staff meetings, and other unclear role boundaries. When CPS staff are asked to fill in operational gaps, their ability to fulfill their core purpose, delivering comprehensive services, is compromised. Addressing these barriers requires intentionality from both the school and CPS leadership. And so with strengthening communication and information flow, some strategies for improvement. Small, consistent actions can significantly improve communication and information flow. Forwarding key district updates, including CPS partners in leadership meetings, and co-leading initiatives foster inclusion and mutual accountability. Clarifying boundaries ensures that CPS partners remain focused on programming and student support while staying engaged as collaborators, as active collaborators. And so here we can pause and reflect and discuss some of the things that we can consider as we are embarking on this school year. And so I'll start with some of the questions here, and we can write in the chat, or if you want to come off mute and speak, that works as well. So I'll give you a chance to take a moment to reflect on your school's current communication practices and think about, are CPS partners consistently included in relevant communications? What barriers might exist that you could influence or address? So I'll give you a second to think about that. And if anyone wants to speak, if you would do the hand raise so that I can see, and then that way it'll help me to know who, like if someone is coming off mute. Okay, Jody.
I can just maybe get the conversation started with one of my experiences. This wasn't with CPS, but it was kind of a similar structure where I was an FDOE employee for a specific project, and I had two different school districts that I was supporting. And I was on the campus of one of those school districts. And so I received their school district's email address. So I was able to be copied and easily communicate with that school district. The other school district that I did not have the district email address assigned, it was so much harder, and I always felt like I was less in communication with them. They had to kind of remember to forward emails to me, as opposed to the other one where I could be put on the email distribution lists. And I know that we have various setups within our own CPS schools. Some have district email addresses, some do not. And I know it varies by district and, different rules within the district, but I do know that that was a barrier that I definitely noticed. I was less able to support and less informed in the district where I didn't have the email address assigned.
And that. Does anyone else want to add to that? Check the chat. No. Okay, well, this is gonna be a little faster than I thought it was gonna be. So the next one, I guess I can see what small actions could be taken to strengthen communication. Okay,
Elder Rollins, as people are thinking about their answers, I see some things popping up in the chat right now. We know this isn't an easy process, right? And there, some of the barriers are just the fact that there's a lot of red tape to cut through to get an outsider access to these emails. But it really streamlines things, and it really helps to get towards transformation. I think as you shared in your presentation, a former site director myself. But really looking at across the state and really across the gamut, we've really identified this as a best practice, because it creates ease, and it creates really a streamlined approach to communication. But we know that barriers exist, and sometimes there is a cost associated with it. But I think elevating those things to a cabinet or an operations team, it does, even though there's challenges up front, it does create ease on the back end of it.
I see Jody had her hand up too. Jody, did you still have a question? Or-
I don't think my hand is still up, is it?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I saw
sorry.
it first, but I just want to make sure you're, yeah, okay.
so in the chat, I see that Mark, he tries to hold quarterly meetings between site directors in the school district. I think that's a good approach. 1 second. So no barriers yet, but Yolanda, you've included, I'm sorry, it just moved. Included CPS into weekly leadership meetings and emails. Also set a time for sharing information with the team. That's good. And then Mark giving select access to emails to select staff to have access to certain system emails, which has improved the communication as they also have access to Teams, which is used a lot by the district. I think that's very intentional. Javaris?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Rollins. Just real quick, Mark, can you kind of elaborate a little bit about that access and kind of what that process looks like? I know it varies from district to district and area to area, but I think it would be helpful for some district level and site level people to understand like kind of what that process may look like. So if they want to implement the same thing, they kind of know which direction to go in.
Yeah, no problem. For Pasco, we have a system that our contractors at the school level the school level administrator fill it out, or in my case, I usually fill it out for our district. And it goes through, Chip manager ensures that they have the background check. And then it also notifies our IT team to double check everything. And once they get approval to it, they do get access to our email system, our Teams, our Microsoft Office 365 and things like that. And then we also allow them access into our student system with very restricted access. Typically, they're able to get the student's name and the schedule to help with identifying when they can pull the student out for different services, whether it's mental health, or dental services, things like that. But it's very intentional, done through the district. We use a mock form for it. It does take either director or assistant superintendent to sign off on it at our levels in order to give that. But they do, that's how we work it through that system. Did that answer your question, I hope?
Yes, absolutely. It definitely does. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that, Javars. Okay, does anyone else want to share before I move forward? Okay. So the impact of intentional communication. When communication becomes intentional and inclusive, the impact is far-reaching. CPS partners can focus on their expertise. Schools gain coordinated systems of support, and families experience consistency, and students receive stronger wraparound care. These outcomes stem from small but deliberate improvements in communication and information sharing. So a few key takeaways to close. Remember that communication drives connection, information sharing builds trust, and collaboration transforms partnerships. Every principal and CPS partner play a vital role in ensuring communication flows intentionally, unbiased, and consistently. Through shared commitment and collaboration, we can create a more unified, impactful support for students, families, and for schools. And so these are the references that are tied to the topic that we discussed today. I'll include it in the MailChimp outreach newsletter that you'll receive by the end of the week. So this is me talking about the newsletter. It'll look similar to this, but just a fall refresh version of it. And so if you would, please scan our QR code. I believe the link will be dropped in the chat for our survey to provide any feedback that you have about today's session. We'll greatly appreciate it. I'll give you a minute to scan and click the chat. All right. All right, Alexis, did you have anything else that you wanted to close with?
So the off what Mark shared, it was burning on the tip of my tongue, and I didn't want to prolong, but facility use, because I think what goes hand in hand with access to communication systems and kind of that contractor ID is access to the facilities. So facility use agreements. And I was just reading through the comments as well, or the chat, about a shared calendar. And some of the things that I think are best practice, if the district allows it, is kind of a facility use agreement for the full year. That covers like what the cost, even though typically the space is in kind, but what the cost would be for the CPS to be on campus, insurance coverage, and all those legalities that are part of that contractor process. It is important, and I think it is naturally included. But it's important to have it kind of just considered with keys and access to buildings, making sure the CPS knows the systems of entrance and exiting the building. And typically, so when we talk about transformation, when you do it with intention, CPS can naturally be a part of evacuation routes, storm procedures, and those were the things that we had worked toward at our site level. And I know my experience is old, but I do think it was a best practice. And when it was done with intention and not just a quick grab, we really felt valued. We were on the radios, and we were a part of leadership. So I do know that is a best practice. And however your district does it, there's typically a process in place for that. And then I guess secondly, if you have trouble accessing the survey, let us know. I do want, if anybody was interested in getting going to that fundamentals of CPS onboarding, we do want your names in the chat so we can make sure we send you the calendar invitation because it only went to your site directors as of now. But we do want your names in the chat if you're interested in attending. So I see Mark, and we'll give a few minutes just for names to get there so I can get them down and we get that calendar invitation sent over to you. And it's optional, and honestly, you might have a principal or like a new principal that starts, and you might want to forward it to someone else. Principal and district leads, we want to extend the invitation to you all. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Gwendolyn. And I'll pass it back to you, Dr. Rollins. Thank you,
Okay.
Londacia and David.
So there's nothing further. This wraps up my portion of the presentation. I'm just letting the chat continue. So you can get the names.
Okay, I didn't even realize. I knew this was our last slide, but I thought I saw one more. Any questions from you all? Questions, feedback, insight? And I do see the names there. I'll get them down. Any questions? Jody.
Just an additional note, Alexius, you mentioned earlier about the Training Academy email invites that went out. We're kind of scaffolding the rollout of that. So right now that only went out to the directors and not to the principal or district staff. So I just wanted to clarify that in case people are looking for emails that they haven't yet received, but there will be invites later on down the road for other partners. But right now it's just the directors.
Thank you for that, Jody. I think I have all the names that were mentioned in the chat with the onboarding. So we'll get it sent your way.
I would like to say this before you end. I work at the district office, and I will say this, that this organization has been a blessing to Dodgertown Elementary. That school had not been an A school forever and a day. And this past school term, it became an A. And with what y'all are doing and some other organizations that come in to help out, the atmosphere has really changed over there. New leadership is over there. And I will say y'all are making a total difference over there. So keep doing what you're doing, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Wolford.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Rollins, if I may, Mr. Wilford, thank you for sharing the impact that we've had. And I know we have some new people to the call. Can you kind of just share before we get off just a little bit about like how that district support kind of trickles down to the school and what that support kind of looks like for the principal and then, of course, the CPS staff?
Well, it started here in the district office. The superintendent, he came in with a vision that business. I come from the business world, and so I don't know anything about. You tell me going to classroom ain't happening. But what we found out was when you have a business approach to everything that you do, and bring in your partners, and we went out there and found a whole lot of partners to complement what y'all are doing and what the principal and the personnel over there are doing. It started changing around. And the buy-in was with the parents. We had to start educating the parents and start. Also, I'm on a board called Treasure Coast Community Health. We have them in there so that if a child need eyeglasses, if a child need a nurse, doctor, Corbin, she can just get them right in immediately with no problem. And so we had to change our perception or our ideas on every school. We don't treat them the same. We treat every school differently because there's a different need at every school. And so we start doing that, and that start turning things around over there.
Thank you, Mr. Wilford. That is
Wilford, man,
phenomenal.
Wilford,
Wilford,
thank you.
I'm sorry about that. Listen,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
trying to get it together. Thank you for that. And kind of what I heard you say is truly getting the partners together initially and getting them on board and kind of shifting that mindset. And then also including access at the district level. So those eyeglasses and things like that, like kind of making sure it's at the district level and then it filters down to the school to be able to support and kind of fill those gaps, if you will, and kind of expand the impact.
Now, I will tell you, it takes money to do a lot of things.
Come on.
And we go out there and try to raise money, if you want to know the truth.
Yes, sir.
Everything we do, we have to go out there. We don't take money to do this because we don't have it. So Indian River County is very wealthy county. And so a lot of wealthy folks have bought into it now because 3 years running, we've been an A district. And the
Yes, sir.
superintendent is what, the Florida Superintendent of the Year, top 4 in the nation. And so now we could go out there and just brag about what we're doing, and people starting to buy into it and loosen up those purses and starting to spend a few dollars to help us out.
Yes, sir. It do take a little money to get a few things taken
It
care
takes a
of.
lot of money. Don't say new, because we have to raise millions of dollars here. It takes a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If there's nothing further, I would like to thank everyone for logging on today and listening to me present this information. I'll be sending out the circle back by Friday, no later than Friday. It'll have everything in there, a summary of today and the presentation recording as well, and the resources provided, the references.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
You as well.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.